Level 1. The arrival. You don't choose Antarctica. Antarctica chooses you. A classified email, a medical screening that asks questions nobody explains. 2 months later, you're stepping off a military transport onto a runway carved from ice. The wind hits like a wall, -40 and dropping. The horizon is nothing but white and sky, stitched together with no seam. This is home now. Nobody welcomes you with a speech. A logistics officer hands you a parka with a patch you don't recognize. No last names inside the facility, no social media, no outside contact without approval. You sign a document thicker than a novel. You don't read it twice. The plane that brought you here leaves within the hour. You watch it disappear into the grey and understand something simple. If anything goes wrong, you're not getting out quickly. You're temporary staff, extra hands. You unload cargo, food crates, fuel drums, equipment cases stamped with black barcodes and red warnings. Nobody explains what's inside the heavy ones. You stack, carry, follow instructions. The veterans move with quiet efficiency. They don't waste motion. They don't waste words. You learn fast. In this place, mistakes don't bruise egos. They cost fingers, sometimes more. Level 2, the winter over candidate. Summer personnel rotate out before the long dark. You don't. You volunteer to stay. That's when they start watching you. Psychological evaluations every week. Sleep tracking, conflict simulations. They want to see how you behave when the sun disappears for 4 straight months. The station shrinks in winter. Fewer than 50 people remain. The ocean freezes solid. Supply flights stop. Temperatures drop past -60. You're assigned maintenance support. You check generators at 3 a.m. because if they fail, pipes burst and lungs freeze. You crawl through utility tunnels, barely wider than your shoulders. You memorize emergency routes blindfolded. Fire is the real enemy here, not cold. Cold is predictable. Fire eats oxygen. Fire traps you. You learn the rules. Always clip your line in whiteout conditions. Never walk alone beyond the flagged perimeter. Never ask about sub-level 3 unless someone above you brings it up first. That last rule isn't written. You just feel it. Conversations change when the topic drifts too close. Level 3, the research technician. Someone above noticed you don't panic when alarms sound. You don't argue during ration reviews. You keep your mouth shut when rumors circulate about what the deep ice drilling team actually found. They transfer you inside. Laboratory clearance. You work 12-hour shifts cataloging ice cores extracted from 2 miles beneath the surface. Each core is older than human civilization. You measure trapped gases. You log anomalies. Most samples are routine, some aren't. Occasionally, a section arrives sealed in a container colder than the rest, hand-delivered, no labels beyond a numeric code. Armed security stands outside while it's processed. You pretend not to notice. You learn the rhythm of the facility. Breakfast at 0700, research brief at 0800, exterior patrol reports at 1200, communications blackout window at 1900. During blackout, the satellite array pivots south, away from public networks. That's when high-band transmissions occur. You don't have clearance to know to whom. You only know the power grid spikes when it happens. Level 4, the exterior operations specialist. You requested transfer. Lab walls started feeling smaller than the ice tunnels. Now you lead small teams beyond the perimeter. You maintain sensor arrays planted miles from the station, seismic monitors, magnetic anomaly detectors, atmospheric sampling towers. The ice is not empty. It moves. It groans at night like something shifting in its sleep. You set charges to fracture pressure ridges before they threaten the runway. Controlled detonations, carefully measured. You respect the environment because it doesn't respect you back. One afternoon, a sensor cluster stops transmitting. You ride out on a tracked vehicle with 2 others. The tower isn't just offline. It's bent, twisted as if torque was applied from below. There are no tracks except yours. No sign of weather damage. You document. You photograph. You don't speculate over open comms. Back at base, the report is classified above your level before dinner. You're told to reinstall and forget. You reinstall. You don't forget. Level 5. The communications officer. Winter deepens. Dark settles permanently. You rotate indoors. Now you control the station's connection to the world. Every message routed through encrypted relays. Every outgoing file scanned, logged, archived. Family emails are limited to 500 words. No attachments, no photos of interior labs. When a researcher tries to exceed the limit, you trim it without discussion. Personal feelings don't override protocol. You monitor emergency channels from stations across the continent. Sometimes you hear distress calls that never reach official reports. Mechanical failures, medical crises. Once a garbled transmission about lights beneath the ice shelf miles offshore. The signal cuts before coordinates repeat. You file it. That night, the director director reminds you of the confidentiality clauses you signed on day 1. His tone is calm. It doesn't need to be louder. Level 6, security chief. Promotion isn't celebrated here. It's assigned. The previous chief rotated out without explanation. You inherit biometric access controls, armory oversight, and authority over Sublevel 3. Sublevel 3 isn't on standard maps. It lies beneath the research wing, accessible through a lift requiring dual authorization. You carry one keycard, the director carries the other. The air down there is colder than the rest of the station, only slightly, but enough to notice. Guards stand outside a reinforced containment lab. Inside rests a cylindrical chamber connected to equipment that never powers down. The object within was extracted from deep ice 16 months ago. You are briefed on shape and age, not origin. Your job is simple. Maintain perimeter integrity, vet personnel, rotate guards to prevent mistakes, conduct loyalty audits, search for recording devices twice a week. Trust is respected here, never assumed. Level 7. Lead scientist. Years pass. Data accumulates. Funding increases quietly. You move from enforcement to analysis and sit at the head of the research table. The object is no longer inert. It emits faint electromagnetic pulses at irregular intervals, too structured to be noise, too weak to travel beyond the chamber. You assemble teams to model the signals. Linguists, physicists, cryptographers flown in under civilian cover. They work in sealed rooms without external networks. Brilliant minds argue over waveforms like theologians debating scripture. You recommend controlled interaction, minimal energy input to test response. Approval comes after weeks of deliberation. The test begins at 0200 station time. The pulse frequency changes, not randomly, in reply. You log everything and order silence until results are confirmed. Outside, wind moves across the plateau as if something beneath it shifted. Level 8, facility director. Authority settles quietly in isolated places. You now answer to an oversight committee that never visits. Their directives arrive encrypted and unsigned. You manage morale first. Scientists grow obsessive. Security grows suspicious. Engineers grow tired. Isolation amplifies everything. Small comforts prevent fractures. At the same time, contingency plans expand. Evacuation routes across sea ice. Data purge protocols prepared. Coordination with distant governments without naming what you coordinate about. Satellite surveillance increases. High-altitude drones map thermal signatures. Interest in this region is no longer subtle. You brief your team without revealing everything. During a late session in Sublevel 3, the pulses align into prime intervals. Not natural, not accidental. A message without language. You feel its weight settle on your shoulders. This station was built for climate research. It has become something else. Level 9, the legacy. The ice doesn't care about discoveries. It cracks the same, but the world beyond leans closer. Funding increases. Oversight tightens. Personnel rotate faster. One winter storm grounds aircraft for weeks. A power fluctuation cascades through the grid. Backup generators engage, but Sublevel 3 goes dark for 9 seconds. When systems reboot, the chamber registers internal change. A small mass discrepancy. The pulse stabilizes at a stronger baseline. You stand alone in the observation corridor, looking through reinforced glass at something older than recorded history. Something that waited beneath miles of ice while civilizations rose and fell. The station continues. New arrivals step off aircraft each summer, unaware of Sublevel 3 humming beneath their boots. Some leave after one season. Some stay for winters that feel like lifetimes. A few rise through the ranks, learning the unspoken rules. Clip your line, guard the generators, stay silent during blackout. Never speak of what answers when you send energy into the dark. Containment protocols exist, statements are drafted, defensive measures stand ready. Indifference is impossible now. The pulses continue, prime intervals stretching longer each month, as if counting, as if waiting. Tonight a new arrival signs a document without reading it twice. He thinks he's here to study ice. He doesn't know that beneath his boots, behind reinforced walls and biometric locks, something older than the continent is listening.